I'm Kathy Atwell. I'm the Executive Director of the Tippecanoe County Historical Association, Lafayette, Indiana. Tippecanoe County Historical Association's mission is to collect, preserve, and interpret the past of our community for the people who live here and for our visitors. We program this building, which houses the Research Library and Archives and offices. We program the Tippecanoe Battlefield Museum and History Store. We program Fort Ouiatenon with the Block House and our annual fundraising, the Feast of the Hunter's Moon. It's been part of my life for most of my life. We get requests to use the photographs that we have in our collection. We have hundreds of photographs. We have a large collection of artifacts along with records. We have diaries. The items that we have, yes, we are the caretakers, and we are very passionate about that, because if once something's lost, it's very hard to get back. And I tell people when they donate it to us, it's not like keeping it in your family where few people can see it. By giving things to us, then we make it available to the public, because that's what we, as an Indiana nonprofit, that's what we do. Some people think that perhaps Lafayette, because of its French name, was named because of what was going on at Fort Ouiatenon. However, Fort Ouiatenon, established in 1717 and burned, finally abandoned in 1791, was years before Lafayette was established. William Digby bought the land for Lafayette in what would have been 1824. He was a riverboat man, and the riverboats could always get to this area all year, whether the river was low or high. And he figured if the riverboat could always get here, this would be a good place for a town. During that time, in 1825, the Marquis de La Fayette, who was a Revolutionary War hero, was doing his final tour of the United States. And he was in the Midwest, never came up this far. But William Digby admired him and thought that would be a good, substantial name for a town. So then he named us Lafayette, and was L-A-F-A-Y-E-T-T-E. So it was the two words at that time. When William Digby platted and named the town, he did not know about the fort. The French lost the fort at the Paris Treaty, which was 250 years ago this year. France lost their holdings in the United States. So the British took over the fort, and it wasn't much of a fort by then, and the British never garrisoned. And the natives, people in this area, didn't really care much for the British. The French, they felt, were good, honest traders. The British, not so much, didn't pay them as much for their furs that the French had. So the British never garrisoned it. And then it was used by the native people. And it is in floodplains, so there were floods, and it was made out of wood. And over the years, it just fell into disrepair. And then in 1791, then it was burned by the Americans, and then just kind of disappeared from the community's knowledge. There were people who knew about, they would find artifacts, they'd call it the old Indian villages out by Granville, out in that area, but no one really knew where the site was. And that actually, for the site and for us, is an advantage, because it was never built over. Lafayette was not built on top of where the fort was. So it was left in fairly pristine condition for archaeological investigations. When young people come to us and want to volunteer, we try to find what they're interested in. We do have some internships, and actually our newest employee was an intern several years ago. We also, of course, have a lot of young people who get involved with the feast. And the Feast of the Hunter's Moon is our major fundraising event, and we've been doing it this is our 45th year. A lot of young people like to get involved with the feast. They like to be out there and spend time outside. Yeah, Yeah, whether you kind of have to kind of hope they get a little of the history when they're having fun.